Having a baby at your age would mean you'd give birth to a dumb kid. I don't have time for that. I'd like a divorce. That's what my husband said after finding out that I was pregnant. To him, a wife and a child were just assets to his life. If the asset didn't suit him, he'd move on to the next. We were replaceable. But 30 years passed, and he was stunned to discover how my daughter turned out. This is your daughter? My name is Harriet O'Neill. I'm no one special, just an average person with an average life. Born to average parents, I went to school and got a job. I had excellent grades and got accepted to a prestigious university in my town with a full ride scholarship. I was so grateful. At the time, the economy was rough, and I was grateful to have landed a job at a huge company. I knew I had to work hard. Before I knew it, I turned 30. I was worried I was running out of time to find a husband or a potential life partner. I'm in love with you. Let's make this official. Thomas, then 26, declared. I asked him if he was sure he wanted to be with someone older than him. Harriet, you're sweet. You're amazing at your job. You are the perfect woman. He always knew just what to say. A year later, I turned 31 and we got married. We always knew we wanted to have kids one day, so I changed jobs to start planning to have a child. However, a year passed, and then 3 years passed, and then 5. We still hadn't fallen pregnant. We decided to give up on trying and get used to the idea of living life as a childless couple. Then I turned 41, and my doctor had some shocking news. You're pregnant. I had been waiting to hear those words for over 10 years. I went to tell Thomas the exciting, shocking news. Huh? You're pregnant? Right now? He didn't sound too happy. Aren't you excited? No, I'm not excited. You're 41. Thomas shook his head. You're too old to be pregnant and you're too old to have a child. Aren't you embarrassed by that at all? No, I don't think I'm too old. Why would I be embarrassed? Well, I am. I mean, a 41-year-old woman who just so happens to be my wife falls pregnant. This is going to ruin me. He kept going. Having a baby at your age would probably result in a dumb child, right? There's a high chance they might have some kind of disability. I can't raise a failure. Wow, I am having this baby. Fine, then we're getting a divorce. Raise the kid on your own. I couldn't believe what he said. I didn't want to, but he was serious. The next day, he had the papers ready to go. So, I made my decision too. Alright, I'll get a divorce. I knew I was gonna have my baby. While signing the papers, Thomas kept talking. You know, I only married you because your degree. I thought that marrying a smart, capable woman would guarantee a smooth married life. I never imagined you'd turn out to be this dumb. Thomas had an impressive education himself, and thought marrying a smart woman would help maintain his image. We were married for 10 years, and I never realized that this was the truth. No questions asked. You'll have custody. I'm not paying for child support, and I don't want to meet it. I don't ever want to be associated with you or that child. Alright. If I had known it was going to be like this, I would have never bothered with you. My child doesn't need a toxic father in their life. So I was grateful he said those things, because I didn't want a dime from him anyway. I wasn't going to argue with that. After we divorced, I moved back into my parents' home and gave birth, surrounded by my loving friends and family. I named my lovely baby girl Nancy. Unlike Thomas's prediction, she was born full term, healthy, stable, and fully developed. Her body is strong, like an athlete's. She's even better at sports than I was. But most importantly, she has a beautiful heart. Such a heart that I was not expecting. Living this life with Nancy wasn't going to be so bad after all, and I was glad Thomas and I didn't work out. And before I knew it, the thought of his existence was long forgotten, and 30 years went by. Harriet? Thomas? We bumped into each other unexpectedly at a well-known hospital in the area. I was in the hospital gown, and Thomas was walking in as a visitor. He was surprised to see me, and he noticed what I was wearing. So, you're an inpatient, huh? Sad. I may not know how sick you are, but with that baby you decide to have and your own issues, I know those medical bills are ridiculous. Excuse me? You had that baby, right? You were too old to carry and deliver a child. I know that child didn't develop correctly. Your baby's cost of treatments on top of yours? Yikes. He was quick to belittle me and jump to conclusions. He's still the same, after 30 years. Actually, he's gotten worse, as if that was even possible. After you, I remarried as soon as I could. She's 20, but real mature and beautiful. She's got a great body and face on her. I had a son with her, and people assume he's an aspiring male model because of his good genetics. I didn't ask nor care, but he was bragging about his life. Oh yeah, I was only a manager when I met you, but now I work for corporate. Well, that sounds great for you. Wow, if I never left you, I would have been stuck with the misery of you and that baby. I was baffled. I know it's his ego, but seriously? I know better than to stoop down to his level. I'm better than that. I heard someone coming over, hopefully to try and save me from this conversation. Mom? What are you doing? Is your exam over? I'm sorry. Did she just call you Mom? A young woman doctor in a white coat appeared before us. Yeah, sorry, honey. Let me introduce you guys. This is... I stopped myself. How was I supposed to introduce him? Thomas never existed in our lives, and his name was never brought up, and I never mentioned him to her. Nancy stood there, glaring at him, and said, I could hear what you were talking about from all the way over there. I could put together that he's my biological father. I just never expected it to be you, Thomas. Wait, Nancy, you know him? Not personally, I never met him, but he's quite the talk around the hospital. His son is hospitalized with diabetes, but he and his wife don't listen to the doctors and sneak in food. His wife causes a lot of trouble about it. Nancy was working her residency as a doctor at this hospital. Despite how young she was well admired and respected in the medical field and community. What Thomas was saying about his son was clearly a lie. His face was stiff and as white as a ghost. I thought he was an aspiring male model. He just loves his food. He's a growing boy. He's fine. Nancy sighed annoyingly at him. Please throw away whatever is in that bag of yours. I know it's filled with snacks and sodas. Thomas, if you continue to do this, we'll have to take action on behalf of the hospital. You're my daughter, right? And you're a doctor, so fix my son. I am not your daughter, and you don't get to call me that. You're a stranger, no father of mine. You're just the father of a patient. Nothing more, nothing less. She immediately shot him down. Whatever. You let that doctor head of yours get to your ego, acting all superior and better than me. Excuse me? Who cares that you're a doctor? You're useless. I work as the head of a multi-million-dollar corporation. He was trying to compete with her. He wanted to establish his authority over her and put her in her place. A typical thing for Thomas to do. Regardless, your mother is an old wrinkled hag who needs to be hospitalized and will be alone for the rest of their life. You have nothing on me. You're a loser. You lost. Thomas laughed loudly. He got some things wrong though, so I wanted to correct him. Thomas, I'm wearing a gown because I'm here for a checkup, not because I'm an inpatient. I came for an exam because the hospital director recommended it, who also happens to be my husband. Huh? Director? Your husband? Thomas shrieked in disbelief. Yes, my husband is the director of this hospital. After the divorce, I found a new job so that I could afford to raise Nancy. I met my husband at this job. It was a medical supply company. He was a doctor there at the time, and we got married. He loved Nancy the moment he met her. Nancy quickly grew attached and wanted to become a doctor just like him. So she fulfilled her dream and now works here with him. Your daughter is a doctor, and your husband is the hospital director? No way. How are you living a better life than me? His ego was shot, and he lowered his head, grumbling at himself. Mom, let's go. Okay, but just leave him. He's not our problem. Thomas stood there, frozen, watching his daughter walk away and abandon him. Then, one day, Thomas's wife caused a scene at the hospital. The doctor demanded, once again, "Stop bringing outside food and drinks into the hospital." Instead of being respectful, she was immediately defensive. She started to become physical with the nurse and was forced to be escorted out. They were denied care and were banned from the hospital. No other hospitals were able to take them in, and they were forced to provide him with home care instead. His diet stayed the same, however, and his condition worsened. I have no idea what Thomas was thinking, because he came looking and begging for Nancy's help afterwards. "Please, do something." Why should I have to do something for someone I don't even know? I'm your father, and my father is the hospital director. What are you talking about? You rejected me before I was even born, and now you're saying you're my father? You should be ashamed of yourself. Nancy ignored him, and she didn't think twice about it. Thomas's finances were dwindling due to his son's medical bills. His wife spent their money splurging on herself, and she wasn't helping. At this point, the rest of his life wasn't looking too good. It was proven to be true, because Thomas eventually found his way to our house to try and negotiate with my husband and I. But my husband cut him off and threatened him. "If you don't leave right now, I will call the police." He marched away and left, his car speeding off the property. I received my results of the exam I had at the hospital, and everything looked good. I was worried because of my age, but thanks to my husband, a caring hospital director, and my daughter, a brilliant doctor, I was in good hands. It's because of them that I know I will always be happy and healthy. Life is unpredictable, but I want to live a life without regrets. And as for me, the decision I made that day is one that I will never regret.